Welcome back. My name's Lisa, and I'm pretty sure you just made a skirt. Our tutorial now is on seam finishes. We've been ignoring seam finishes up until this point, but now you will know how to put a nice professional finish on all of your garments. This, I just wanted to show you, is an unfinished seam. This is what we've been working with so far, but look, there's an issue. The fabric comes undone. And that will not do if we spend hours on a piece. We don't want it coming undone. That's not okay, which is why we apply these seam finishes. So I will show you how to make all of these. All right, so we've got the zigzagged edge, stitched and pinked, the turned hem seam finish, and this one is the French seam. So here, before I show you how, I just want to explain that this is the seam. It's on the inside and it's been pressed open. This is what it looks like from the outside, just a nice straight seam. So this will be the inside of your garment. I've used a 5/8 inch seam allowance. We've been working with 1/2 inch, but I wanted extra room to show you. And then I just press it open with my iron. So let's make this zigzag stitch on the machine. To make the zigzag stitch, I am setting my machine to zigzag setting. I'm going to keep 2.5 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to rotate this to 2.5 inches as well. This is my stitch width. We'll put our seam into the machine, but the thing is I want to only catch this part of the raw edge. I don't want to catch any of my fabric, just that one single piece. I'm putting it right in the middle, and I'm going to sew all the way down. Take it out. All right, I'm going to open that back up, and here we have our zigzag. I also decided that I didn't need all this extra fabric, so I'm going to cut it off with my rotary cutter. There. Now we have a nice finished zigzag stitched seam. Now let's do pinked and stitched. For this one we want to sew with the straight stitch, so I'm moving my machine back to all the straight stitch settings. I'm going to open it up so that just my seam allowance is there. And I put it into the machine so that it's just about 1/8 inch away from the seamed edge. And I sew in a straight line all the way down. Typically, you would do this to both sides. I've already demoed the one side, which is why you're only seeing me do it to the other. We have our straight stitch, and then we want to pink it. As I've mentioned before, the jagged edge of the pinking shears prevents the fabric from fraying. Now we have pinked and stitched, finished seam. Now we have these two seam finishes, and they will prevent your seam from unraveling, but they look kind of messy. They're not my favorite to use, but they're a bit easier to use. This one's probably the easiest. But those two are messy. So now let's talk about the nice clean one. We have our folded hem seam finish. Notice how the raw edge has been completely hidden from view. I mean, honestly, the whole seam is going to be hidden from view because this is the outside of your garment and this is the inside, but this does lead to a cleaner finish. So let's do that. All you have to do is fold this underneath. You can press it if you'd like, and then fold it again down. I'm going to press it real quick. And then catching just this flap of seam allowance, I'm going to put it into my machine and sew a straight stitch down the length of it, right in the middle. The folded hem. Now for my final seam finish, this one is very fancy. This is actually only halfway done. The trick to this is that you actually have to sew the right sides together instead of the wrong sides together. So here I have actually shown, I've drawn on the outside of the fabric. This will be the side that everyone will see. And we've sewn our wrong sides together at 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then what we do is fold it the other way so that your right sides are together like we normally do, and we sew at 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to stick that into my machine and do it. When we open it back up, we have a nice solid seam, just like the other ones. And on this side, we don't even have to see any mess. It's just a nice finished seam on both sides. So if you want to completely encase your raw edges, use the French seam, but sew with wrong sides together instead of right sides together. It's a little tricky. Now you know all about seam finishes and how to professionally finish your garment so it will not come undone and so it might look a little bit nicer. Let's move on. I'm going to show you how to make your very own pattern pieces out of existing clothes. This is a great way to begin learning to sew. You don't have to worry about cutting out a bunch of paper and figuring out all that extra special stuff.